Hi guys, how you doing today?
Yeah, good. Hey, you guys. Yeah,
Yeah, there you
good.
go.
Hey, you guys.
Thank you very much. It's yeah, that's where it came from. It's perfect.
Yeah, one of the films I've seen most in my lifetime.
uh, exactly. Same. It's a regular comfort movie.
Yeah.
Congratulations on such a great film. I watched it last night and I'm still recovering from it. How does
In
it
a good
feel?
way, in a bad
In a
way.
Oh, in a good way. In a good way. I was very gripped from the get-go. And obviously it's a very nice horror. How does it feel to be screening it at Fright Fest?
Yeah, really excited. If everybody feels the same way, it'd be really exciting. Yeah, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Hopefully it's got a good horror. It's a great horror to be showing at Fright Fest. So it's going to
Yeah,
be
it's there's horror elements to it and thriller elements as well, sort of mixed genre, and I love that audience. That I've been going for like 10 years, and there's such a nice crowd to be seeing the film for the first time publicly. I think, yeah.
absolutely. So I think Ben, we have to start with you. Where did the idea come from?
I was researching in a different script about a different military figure, and I found a footnote about the verification of Hitler's remains and how that they buried it in the ground to hide it from people. And Stalin didn't want anybody to know that Hitler was dead, which I thought was strange, and I'd never heard that before. He didn't want the truth getting out that Hitler was dead because he was worried that the Allies would withdraw some of their support. So he ordered his intelligence police, to keep it buried and hide it and not make a big deal about it and try and verify that it was him. And then the rumor is that they tried to get the remains back to Russia. And this is all murky in history because it's all through the guise of the Soviet government, and so it was difficult to sort of verify anything. And there are different testimonies and different stories from different people. But what I wanted to do with that kernel is to start a story that said, no, Hitler's dead. I don't like the conspiracy theories that he survived and lived out his days in Argentina. I thought it'd be nice to tell a story that starts off with Hitler's dead. We're starting from that point, and use this story, this thriller, to talk about some of the sort of horrible and horrific aspects of the burying of truth, of the hiding of truth, and what happens when you obscure history. These things that can happen.
Absolutely. And Charlotte, what attracted you to the role?
Um, well, what didn't? Rana is such an incredible character, and the fact that she's loosely based on or inspired by a real person and real women who took part in that war was what fascinated me the most. I think she was just a very well-written, well-rounded, strong character. And then having the chat with Ben about the script and him giving me the whole backstory and recommending a couple of books to read, and seeing that it was all real, all inspired by true events, was just incredibly exciting, I think. And that gives you a lot to play with because you have the part where you can do a lot of research. So you feel very informed going into the role, but then you also have the freedom that it's still a fictional story. So you are creating your own character and putting a bit of you in there too.
Absolutely. What I really love about the Branagh character is how she stands up about this background of men who, I think, even though you've got these kind of horror, supernatural-esque elements, are her biggest threat, are her own comrades.
Yeah, she's surrounded by wolves, like she says.
Yeah, absolutely. How does it?
I love that moment in the film that you do. I'm in awe of Charlotte's acting ability. I didn't direct a lot of that, and there's the moment where she says, "I'm surrounded by wolves." She does this little nod of the head, like you get that there's more behind that. That there's a whole, wealth of horror that she has to have gone through already to get to that point. Yeah, it's really good.
Absolutely, and I quite like the fact, Ben, that you've written to the script that the Soviets were just as much of a plague on like Poland and other countries as the Germans. And you've got the tavern lady who says it, saying,
Yeah.
who's going to push you guys out? There's lots of stories about that. So how did you bring that element into it?
Well, you have these decisions, especially if you're veering off to a more sort of fictional script. You have decisions to make. Are you going to stay with these Russian characters? Like, I didn't have to involve other Polish characters, but I really wanted those guys to be in it because I didn't want to portray the Russians as being wholly good guys, and it's really important to me to have some Polish characters to remind the viewers and the audience that they weren't particularly nice when they came through Poland, and also that character, the woman who worked in the bar, she's called Justina. She has that moment where she says, you know, there's not much difference between you if you act that way. If the things that you've done and the things that they've done, and if they're the same, then this all is a different type of uniform. And that's important to sort of say that, because it's not about, you know, the righteousness of liberating or the righteousness of being the winner and the victor of a war. It's about how you act. And I think that message hopefully resonates with what's going on in the world today. It's not about, you know, the justification of a war or justification of winning. It's how you act during it that's important. Absolutely.
And it's a well-written script because, you, like you said, you didn't want the Russians to be the technical good guys, but there are some good guys in her team. It's just like Tor and Barry Ward, and then you've got like there's not all men are bad, so you've got the Lucas character. So Charlotte, how did you develop these relationships with Tom and Barry?
But I do think that they, you know, they're good characters, but I think Tor says in that conversation he has with Brana that there's some of the stuff he's done and the reason why he's called Tor, so he's also incredibly flawed, and so is the Lukasz character. And I think that's what makes them all the more interesting, and I think that's what helps them relate to each other. They've all seen and done things that they wish they hadn't, and things that they regret that they're going to have to live with. But it's how they feel about what they've done that connects them with each other and helps them empathize, rather than a character like Ilyasov, who just kind of powers through everything and doesn't really look back at what he's done and the consequences of his actions. But I really enjoyed those scenes that I had with it's a kind of nice moment of calm and of just kind of showing the characters' deeper emotions and what's going on in their minds, because everything else is like so fast and action, and it has to be to keep people on the edge of their seat, right? But it's really nice to have those little moments where those characters get to tell their stories a little bit.
Yeah, it's some beautiful character work from both the writing and the acting. So well done. It's so involving in that way.
Thank you. Yeah, the stuff with Tor, there were different characters. Tom Felton's character has a maybe a more actual romantic backstory. He's you know, ruined by the loss of a love, and Tor's backstory is romanticizing the violence of his past. He's probably not a very nice guy, you know, and yet, you know, he doesn't say how horrific it was that he got his nickname, and yet when it comes to these moments of making a decision, he sometimes makes the right decision, and that's good. And then the same with Tom Felton's character and Charlotte's. It's those three really, like in Charlotte's character making the right decision to maybe go off script from her mission and do the right thing.
Absolutely, and it's so well done. Maybe just a bit more of a fun question, Charlotte. What kind of training did you do? Because you did a lot of gun work and stunts and things. How fun was it developing the training and doing all the action pieces for this?
Well, we didn't have that much gun training, did we, Ben?
Yeah, I've got a video of you looking badass, you know.
We had a day where we went out into the forest in Estonia, and they showed us how to use the guns, and it was really embarrassing at the beginning. I just couldn't do it because they're really old guns, and you can't, you know, you have to clock them and you have to be quite strong, and the gun itself was already so heavy, and actually Brana's character has the heaviest gun because it's a sniper, so usually you wouldn't be running with it and shooting, it would be kind of placed down somewhere. So that was really fun, and I think while I was filming, I wasn't really doing much working out, but before that, as soon as I knew that I was doing the film, I was just trying to do as much like weight training as possible to be able to handle that gun that was about half of my size.
You weren't working out during the film, and we made you do so many things that were a workout. We made you run through a forest at like umpteen times with a rifle at high speed.
That make my arms shake after a while.
Yeah. And I think that, you've been harsh and stuff. The bit where she had the hand pistol, she just like in practice, in training, looked like she was like totally comfortable with that. Like, bow, 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 like stay away from Charlotte. She's pretty badass.
There must be some sort of like you just hold it and you're like, yeah, I feel powerful with this.
Yeah, when it works well, because I was like, oh my God, I hope this works. I hope I do this okay. And then look back and I was like, oh.
Absolutely, it looks like a lot of fun to film, even though it's like dark and horror and thrillery. It does look like a lot of fun.
I think the elements that are on screen were all fun. The things that you don't see, hopefully, are the swarms of mosquitoes that followed us in every forest.
Oh no!
Yeah, and ticks, and a bear, and things like that.
Bears? No way!
Yeah, it's
Just,
fun.
I'm gonna watch the film again and just imagine there's a bear behind you, just watching your work.
Yeah.
Speaking of bears and creatures, I just wanted to talk about the design of the werewolves, and the sort of special effects, and they're really like striking in this film. I just wanted to talk a little bit more about how they got developed.
Yeah, well, that was me playing into the name as well, because there was a group of, called the guerrilla fighters called the werewolf that the Germans, the Nazis, sort of made bigger than they were. They made the numbers sound bigger because it was just the remnants, whoever wasn't conscripted, who had survived till the end, who was asked to like do these guerrilla tactics, and there weren't very many of them. But that visual that you get from the name was something we played on with the character of Joseph, who thinks that they're talking about real werewolves. So it was a really nice sort of visual element to like, for a certain amount of time, maybe you think that they are. I don't know. I hope a horror film festival audience doesn't expect like full on werewolves, but we had fur to sort of camouflage them, animal pelts and stuff like that. They seem quite creepy when they're coming out of the forest at night. Yeah.
Amazing. It's very, very creepy and works very well. Kind of wanted my own little werewolf suit at the end of it.
Yeah, there's a different array of, you can get like a wolf or a bear or a boar. Yeah.
Did you keep any?
No, I didn't get to keep any, unfortunately.
Oh no.
They were scary though. I say I've only seen the film once, and when I went to see it in London, I'm in it and I've read the script and everything, but I was on the edge of my seat the whole way through, and I had my agent next to me, and we'd have moments of like jumping, and even though you know what's coming, I just didn't expect it to actually be so creepy and violent and shocking, actually, which I think really works. So hopefully other people feel the same.
Absolutely does. I mean, for me, it was the boar. The boar one's the one that creeped me out the most.
I mean, there's some nice moments when we're filming it. It's really difficult to shoot guys dressed up in sort of visually impairing outfits running through a very dense forest. And one of the werewolf guys went straight into a tree.
Oh no!
Which we try not to laugh at. It's not funny, but it was. And so those moments that in the film are like really scary. I sort of think back to the fun that we had. I think I have to go watch this film again, and all these little things that you're talking about, and just try and spot them. Yeah.
So thank you so much for talking with me today. It's a truly great film. I have a question I don't want you to answer.
Okay.
But I have to ask it.
Yeah.
What's in the box?
What's in the box? Yeah. I mean, it's left ambiguous for that reason. I hope that people come up to me and shout Brad Pitt quotes to me. Yeah. No. What do you think's in the box?
I mean, I don't want to say, because I don't want to spoil it for anyone else.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't want people to get ahead of themselves. Just in case. But I had to ask. I was like, I have to ask what's in the box. But
it's Gwyneth Paltrow. It was actually Gwyneth Paltrow on set. Yeah. Yeah. She was nice enough to do it just as a cameo, but we didn't use it.
No.
Sometimes you get cut out. That's what happens.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for talking with me today. I really can't wait for people to see it. It's a very, very great an intriguing film with a lot of history and a lot of thrilling scenes. So
Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you for your lovely words.
no worries. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope the Fright Fest reception is really good as well.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Very excited. Lovely chatting to you.
Nice talking to you. Take care, guys.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey, you guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey,